Hello. How are you? Greetings. Oh, I have a lot on my heart. I This channel was started to share what lessons I've learned in my spiritual path, and to share them with all of you in hopes that they would help you along your path as well. And this week I've been kind of frozen in a way by some realizations that I wouldn't have had on my own. And the practice of operating from my heart and from a place of compassion has allowed me to see things that I wouldn't have otherwise seen because I saw them with my heart. One of the things that I have struggled with a lot in the past couple of years has been accepting that my ability to heal or my ability to understand things doesn't necessarily have analytical, tangible explanations. And that's been very difficult for me. And this week was very much about that. I cannot explain, nor do I have names that, the world accepts for the things that I experienced and saw this week. I know that I wouldn't have had these experiences were it not that another person was having them, and because we're all mirrors of each other, and I have been deepening my practice of working from a place of compassion and love, that I was able to feel these things. And in feeling them, I sensed them and I saw them with my heart. And in seeing them with my heart and seeing their joyful dance with my heart and seeing their desire to protect and to care for this other person, I was able to take a moment and see all the ways in which there had been nature spirits that had been there for me my entire life. And one of the most sort of aha moments that I had was that, so when I was a little girl, I was the only, I think I was the only girl my age in my neighborhood. There was maybe one other one that lived around the corner, but in close proximity to me, it was a bunch of little boys. And they had this terrible habit of wanting to crush the bugs, right? And they wanted to kill all the caterpillars that were crossing the path. And I would stop them. I would physically tell them, tell them no, and I'd physically stop them. And if that wasn't enough, I was certainly not above pushing them away. Yes, and getting into fisticuffs with boys over saving bugs. And they started calling me green blood and whatever. And I just didn't care. I was like, whatever. And I'd take the caterpillars and I'd take them to our backyard and I'd put them on the plants that I knew that they liked. And, I'd care for them. I'd just watch them, make sure they were okay, that no one hurt them. And they were monarchs. They were monarch butterflies. And I didn't connect until just a day or two ago that those weren't the butterflies that showed up for me when I was sad. Because I have said for years that when I was a little girl, there would be these little white butterflies that would come around whenever I was really sad. And I had this belief that somehow me protecting, even as a little girl, I thought that somehow because I protected these other butterflies, that all the butterflies knew that I was a good person. And so somehow they were going to be there for me. And I know that sounds so silly, but it wasn't, and it isn't. Like, it brought me so much comfort to know that I was in communion with the natural world and that I saw it and it saw me. And that felt really good. And it still feels really good, except for I was saving monarch butterflies. I don't know what these little white butterflies with the little green thing on top are. I don't I mean, I didn't call them fairies, right? That's what a lot of people would call them. They would just, I remember so many, and the moments are so fresh in my mind as if it were a movie that we're replaying, as if it was an image that was being shown to me. I have this incredibly vivid memory of, we had sold our car, and I'm from Peru. We were in Peru, and I was with my mom, and it was crowded and it was hot, and the city isn't in the desert. It's Lima was an oasis, and it's dusty. You know, it can get very dusty sometimes. And it was just like a yucky day. And I was feeling so sad. I was missing my dad. I was sort of just overwhelmed by everybody's energies and not wanting to be there. And all of a sudden, this little white butterfly started flying around me. And I remember this beautiful feeling of lightness when that little butterfly was around. And then, you know, the bus that we were going to get on came, and we got on the bus, and Mom was, come on, let's go. And it's like, all right. And we sat towards the back, and I looked out the back window, and there was the butterfly following our bus. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I told my mom, and she was like, oh, it's just flying. But of course, like, what was she going to say, you know? And there were other times where those little white butterflies would show up. Even in this past summer, I remember a week where I was particularly just feeling overwhelmed and exhausted and you know, just tired being in the world. And I saw 2 or 3 of these little white butterflies that week, and they brought me so much joy and peace and comfort. And I had the most beautiful realization by seeing somebody else with my heart and seeing their magic with my heart. I was able to see the magic in my life that had always been there and that had always saved me. When I was in college, there was a time where I was really sad, and I was walking down a pathway that was very crowded. There were like hundreds of people, I'm sure, and that's no exaggeration. You know, it's a state school, and all of a sudden I get to the bottom of a hill, and I'm driven to walk right towards the grass, towards this one random blade of grass, thousands of blades of grass, but it was that one blade of grass that for whatever reason the light was showing through it just a certain way, that it inspired this beautiful feeling of love and connectedness and wholeness, of being one with the universe, of being one with the earth, and in recognizing that that blade of grass was divine on some level, that it was magical and perfect and beautiful, and that I was part of that, and that it was part of me. And you know, in similar ways, you know, moss, for whatever reason, walking around and seeing moss, and it's never all of the moss being beautiful. It's never that. Somehow my attention's always brought to this small little aspect of it that for whatever reason looks magical to me. And I I don't know what to call it. The magic around my friend, they look like fairies. The magic that I see, I don't know what they are. I maybe a different type of fairy. I really don't know. I don't see their faces or anything that you see in kids' books. I just feel this amazing love and peace around these little aspects of nature. And I really just needed to honor that today. I feel like I cannot go on with my day until I tell this story, that I cannot move on to do all the other things that I am supposed to do until I tell this story. And really what it is that we're all supposed to see with our hearts. And I am realizing that more and more. We're in this paradigm shift. Look, even science is freaking out over the tectonic plates shifting. There's a lot of shifts happening. There's shifts everywhere. And you can call them whatever they whatever you want, whatever they want to call it, it doesn't matter. The fact is that things are shifting. And if you're quiet and you pay attention, you can feel that. And I want you to be quiet and feel your heart and feel things with your heart and really start practicing from a place of love and compassion for yourselves and everything around you. When we see things through love, they become magical. The magic that exists there is more alive and more activated. And whether you want to believe in magical creatures or not, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that everything around us is magical. You are magical. We're made out of stardust. We are a miracle. We just our pure existence on this rock is a miracle. And everything around us is miraculous. And when we start treating it that way, and when we start loving it that way, our lives become magical miracles. And that is your birthright, to live in a space where your life is a magical miracle. To live in that knowledge brings so much peace and joy. And I wanted to share that because I believe everyone should have that. And that's just it. There's magic everywhere, whether it's butterflies or moss or whatever it is that brings you that sense of wonder and joy and recognition that you are part of something much, much bigger. And even in its smallest nature, it's really grand. Whatever brings you that, find that thing and be in communion with it. May you have the joy of experiencing a heart-based existence. Many blessings. Namaste, Satnam. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.